was a music fan before I was ever a journalist. To me, music is so much more than just entertainment. Music defines communities. It tells stories, it motivates, and it heals. I grew up listening to my mom's records and dreaming of hanging out with musicians. And now, it's my job. This is more than the music. Hey guys, this week we are headed back to the Capitol Studios in the world-famous Capitol Records building in Los Angeles. We're going to be sitting down with Paula Salvatore, Steve Genewick, and Al Schmitt. What's up, guys? We are hanging out in Studio A in the Capitol Records building, downtown Los Angeles. I don't know if it's technically downtown. We're in Hollywood. Yeah. I don't live here. I don't know the neighborhoods, but Hollywood. It's even cooler. So I am talking to Paula Salvatore, Steve Genewick. I said that right?
You said it right.
Yay. So I want this to be sort of an educational episode. We're kind of talking about the music industry. Usually I talk to artists, and I wanted to feature the studios and the people kind of behind the music. Can you explain what your job title is and what that means in the industry? What do you do?
Well, I'm the VP of the studio and bookings, administration, and basically, you know, when a call comes in to get the studio, you take it. You know, it's kind of like being the, you know, the focus for the beginning to get the project in, set the rates, and then distribute it to the employees and the staff to know what they got to do, and get the engineers talking to each other, find out the billing. You know, sometimes we deal with filmings, events, movies. So it's basically anything that comes in has to go through and around everybody. You know. Yeah.
Lots of coordinating.
Yeah. Thank you.
So after she's coordinated, then it comes down the hallway. My job as a recording engineer, it's kind of different every day. So there's some days where I'm sitting behind the console and getting sounds and mixing and doing all that stuff. Sometimes I'm operating the computer and I'm sitting behind that doing that. It really depends on what we're doing that day. But as I like to say, you know, all that, the buttons and stuff in the control room, I know what all that stuff does. And also my job is to, depending on who else is in the room, meaning producers, engineer, you know, no session happens with just one person. There's always a lot of us around, is to keep everything moving forward and you know, making sure that the artist, the client, whoever it is, isn't, you know, getting stuck and wasting time and that kind of stuff, because it's not cheap to be here, especially if you're here with a big orchestra and stuff like that. It can be quite expensive, and you know, we try to help them keep everything moving, and you know, we prepare, like, you know, usually by the time we get to the downbeat of the session, we're kind of, most of our work is finished. It happens, especially if it's a big orchestral session or something like that. We're here for hours and hours, sometimes days before setting up, checking, double checking. You know, we don't want it to be on us that something went wrong.
So I know you've got quite a storied past here. I don't know how long you've been here, but I'd love to hear a little bit about that. How'd you end up at Capitol?
So I've been here 25 years now. I worked at another studio before this as a runner and an assistant engineer. And a friend of mine that I worked with there was working here. And I had run into him at a bar one night. And he said, "Hey, we got a guy quit yesterday. You should come get the job." I said, "I don't know if I want to do that." It's, you know, back to the studio. I was having fun on the road and stuff like that. And over the course of the night, he convinced me to come in. So I came in the next day, and I had a resume. And they said, "Well, ask for this guy. He's the boss, Hill." So I came in, and I handed him my resume, and he looked at it, and he said, "How do you know we need a guy?" I said, "Well, I ran into my friend last night." He said, "Hang on a minute." And I guess he came down here and talked to him, and he came back up, and he said, "When can you start?" And I said, "When do you need me?" And he said, 4 o'clock. And I said, "Great." And that was 25 years ago.
Fair enough. And what about you, Paula?
I was over working at Sound City for a good 9 years, and they had just built this room, Studio A, and Jeff Minnick, who was the chief engineer, was saying, the lady that was there was leaving. He said, "We got to find somebody." And they invited me to a lunch without telling me. They were checking me out, and I just was cracking them up a lot, and you know, had the experience. And then they called me again a couple weeks later and said, "Can we talk to you again? I know, this time a little more serious, huh?" You know, and that was in 1990 in October. I just passed 29 years. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys have obviously had a lot of time here. What is just one of your favorite sessions you've had a part of, or booked, or however? I'd love a fun story.
Yeah, one of them.
Well, yeah, I wasn't here for yours, Paul.
Yeah.
Anytime you work with a Beatle, it's always fun. The first time Paul walks in the room and, says, "Hi, I'm Paul." I said, "Yeah, no kidding. We know who you are." So stuff like that. I've been lucky. I've worked with just about everybody I ever wanted to work with. So it's been really great. But yeah, it's when the Beatle guys are around, it's pretty special around here.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And he did Kisses on the Bottom with Al Schmitt, who's here today, and Tommy LaPuma, and Diana Krall, Joe Walsh, and did the record, and then decided they started to do the YouTube Live. Apple Music Live. Yeah. Live Kisses, a video with an audience live.
Man.
So that was amazing, and Studio A console was brand new.
Mm-hmm.
And that week of rehearsals up to the show, they also decided to give him a star outside. So it was a full McCartney week.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
How cool. Is that your moment?
Well, that was a big moment. I hadn't met him though when I first started. I was there 2 weeks, and he came in for interviews, and
Oh my gosh.
I almost fell under the desk.
Yeah.
But that was exciting. But then in 1993, we did Frank Sinatra duets with Phil Ramone and Al Schmitt again, and where they opened up the walls to the Studio B, and they put the whole orchestra and the big band, and just a bunch of nights of recording Frank music. So that was, a legendary experience for me to meet Frank and have him singing in the room.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm just in awe of this mic behind us, which was Frank Sinatra's mic. It's crazy. It's awesome. So you guys have a really good mix of vintage gear as well as modern stuff. Do you have a favorite piece of gear that you use? Fair.
Yeah, we have. We still have all the old equipment that they had from the 50s and 60s, and so we tell people, if you see something in the hall, like a picture in the hallway, and it looks like something that's in the studio, it's the same one. But we also have all the modern equipment, and we can go back and forth between the two. So if we need to draw from that vintage old stuff, it's sitting there, and if it's not practical for that job, and we need all the whiz-bang digital computer tools, they're all in there too. So it's a great mixture to be able to go back and forth.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're the only studio that has underground echo chambers, so...
Yeah, you were telling me about that. It sounds kind of scary.
Yeah, well, if you want
But also
to try to go
amazing.
down the hole. Send you to the hole.
Under the parking lot, we have 8 live echo chambers. So in the 50s, when this building was built, they didn't have digital reverb. None of that existed. So it's basically these kind of pie-shaped rooms with no parallel surfaces, and there's 2 speakers and 2 microphones. And we can take the signal from the studio and we play it into there. It's kind of like singing in your bathroom. It's very echoey.
Yeah.
And the microphones, then we bring the microphones back up onto the console, and that was the reverb in the 50s. So when you hear Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, those old records, that's what the reverb was. Well, we still have ours. So, and up until recently, the only place you could use them was when you came here. We have since, in the last year, we actually developed a plug-in version of them. So there's a digital version of some of them now, not all of them. But there's still nothing like using the real thing.
I bet.
So, yeah. And you don't
It's just
have to
cool
go
to
down
have
there,
it.
which is great.
More from Capitol Studios after this. Welcome back to More Than the Music. What would be a piece of advice you guys would offer to a young person starting in this industry today?
Go to law school and do something
Yeah.
else.
If you really want to get in the business and you really have a passion for music, you have to have a lot of patience to get where you're going to be. So if you think, I'm going to walk in, I'm going to show my stuff, and within a year, you're in the wrong business. It's a mainstaying business. You have to, you have to know your place. You have to respect the people that are trying to teach you, and you have to, wait your turn.
Yeah, and also it's a business as much as, you see pictures of the control rooms and all this great equipment and big consoles and all that kind of stuff. It really has very little to do with that stuff. It's about your people skills. And because these are very small little rooms down here comparatively, and we're spending sometimes 15, 16 hours a day jammed in there with a lot of people, and if you can't hang, you're out. Yeah. So and at a place like this, you have to be able to keep your composure when a Beatle walks in the room or whoever that may be. So you can't get flustered and starstruck. You have to, you get, like I say, you get starstruck for about 5 seconds, and then you have to go back to work.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
At least they give you that 5 seconds. I tend to fangirl a little bit when I meet
Well,
really famous
yeah,
people.
I mean, that's happened to me with Paul McCartney. I was like, but then he comes in a lot. Then it's like, hey.
Yeah. Well, I think after the first initial, like, oh my God, then you're like, hey, you're just a person too.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's really distracting though when they come in. It's like, God, I want to go in the hallway and just wait.
My daughter
And so
thought it was
everybody-
cool because she was here with me, or we were somewhere, and I ran into Paul, and he's, hey, Steve, how you doing? Gives me a big hug, and she said, that was really weird. No, that's the weird stuff that happens in my life.
The great things about recording studios is that they're working. They're creating. They're not coming off stage and waiting to sign autographs and hear the crowd.
Yeah.
There's no crowd roar in
Right.
the hallways. So it's a really nice, intimate place to get to know the artist, and they get to know us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
That's
is the
awesome.
safe place for them.
One of my all-time favorite albums, A Night at the Opera.
Mm-hmm.
What was your involvement in that? I need to know everything.
So I was Elliot Shiner remixed that record in 2001 for 5.1, and I was his assistant on that record. And yeah, it was really fun. And the idea was that we had mixed the record, and then we were going to have Brian May come in and listen to it. And well, Brian will come in and we'll make any little changes he needs. So Elliot mixed the record, and we brought it here, and Brian came in the first day, and we figured we'd have a couple days of changes, and like 4 weeks later, we finished the record. We basically took it
Redid
down
the
and
whole
put it back
thing.
up, and
Yeah.
it was really fun. It was a
I
really fun
imagine so.
project.
That album in particular has just so much going on. I seriously, it's one of my all-time faves.
Yeah.
And I had never really paid attention to like what even a remaster meant until I was doing the show and talking to people who do that, and it's amazing the difference that it can make between like one person's mix and
Right.
a remaster.
You know,
I don't
and
know,
this
is
was
very
a-
duh stuff, but
yeah,
to me
this
it
was a full
amazing.
remix, so we remixed in surround sound.
Oh my gosh.
So it was, we went back to the original tracks and literally broke it down to 0 and built it back up again.
Amazing.
Which is really fun to do.
So I've only listened to it, the remastered version, on Spotify, which is shameful. I need to go pick that vinyl up too and just like put it on good speakers. I mean,
There's actually stuff on there are guitar parts on the 5.1 mix that are not on the original album.
really.
And when we were doing it, and Brian would say, no, I think there's another guitar part. And we would shake our head, no, we went through this with the 5. No, these are all the parts. And he said, no, it's not on the original record, but I remember playing it. And sure enough, we would find it. He'd be like, yeah, we didn't have space for it in stereo, but in 5.1 we have lots of space, so let's put it in. So there's actually parts on there that we never would have done that on our own, but Brian said, no, let's try it, let's put them in.
Oh,
So
man.
we put them in.
No, I really can't wait to give it a careful listen. That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, and thanks for having us here.
Welcome. Nice to have you
awesome.
here. Thank you.
Welcome back to More Than the Music. Hey guys, we're joined by Al Schmitt. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Oh, thank you. Happy
You're-
to be here.
Something of a legend, sir.
Oh,
I'm honored to chat with you.
thanks.
So you have won over 20 Grammys.
23.
It's amazing. What is one of your favorite sessions that you've worked on?
One of my favorite sessions that I worked on, Frank Sinatra, duets album, Paul McCartney, Natalie Cole, Unforgettable here,
Oh,
George Benson, Breezin' here. A lot of great records here.
it's awesome. So how did you come to Capitol? What's your story with
How did I come to Capitol? When I first came to California, they were just building the building. I don't even think it was open yet. And I worked at another studio. I became friends with a bunch of the engineers that worked here. So we used to go out drinking at the end of sessions. We'd meet at the bar and everybody would hang out. And I always wanted to work here. not full time, but to use it as a studio. And finally, I convinced Tommy LaPuma one day to do it right here, and we did. The first thing I did here was Michael Franks. Yeah, Michael Franks, 1976.
Wow, right.
That was the first time. Yeah. Otherwise, most of the time I was working at other studios. Yeah, RCA or Sunset Sound.
More from Capitol Studios after this. Welcome back, guys. Let's head back to the Capitol Studios. So you've worked with Quincy.
Yes.
Do you have any fun Quincy stories?
Quincy stories? Not really. You know, there's not a lot of funny stories. He usually talks. And if you've ever heard one of his speeches, he usually goes back into when he was 8 years old and was a gangster, you know, and it's the same thing. And one time we were both getting awards one night, and I got an award, and I spoke for 5 minutes or whatever and sat down, and he got an award and he started talking about when he was 8. And one of the guys in the room said, when he gets to 12 years old, let me know. You know, I mean, he just goes up the ladder, and Quincy can talk. I love him, but he can schmooze.
I'll just ask you a couple more things and then I'll let you go.
Sure.
One of the things that I definitely wanted to talk to you about, one of my very personal all-time favorite songs is Africa by Toto.
Right.
And I want to hear what you did on that and what your background is with that one.
Well, I recorded that, Africa. And what happened, Jeff Beccaro went out on the drums and he played like 32 bars. And then we came in and listened, and he picked the 2 bars that he liked the best, and we made a loop, a tape loop, and we took the tape and put it out on a microphone stand and back on it, so it just kept going around, those same 2 bars. And that's what's the record, it's those 2 bars. And then he played fills on top of that. But that was the basic for the Toto of Africa.
So cool.
Yeah, those first 2 bars, and it just kept going around, and then he added to them.
It's amazing. It's so cool. I mean, you see people nowadays like looping, but they have, you know, they have pedals and
Right.
I don't know. That's really cool that that's how that was done. I have no
Yeah.
idea. Here's one that I like to ask folks that have been in the industry for a while. If you could give one piece of advice to young people starting in the music industry now, what would that be?
Follow your heart. I mean, that's the most important thing. If you really want to do something and that's what you, just go for it. You know, don't give up. I know I talk to a lot of students, and that's, you know, if you have a passion for music, stick with it and just keep going, and don't let people push you aside or whatever. You know, just follow your heart and be kind to all living things.
That's good advice for everybody.
Right, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us.
You're welcome. Happy to do it. I hope you get enough stuff. Yeah, sure.
Hey there, More Than the Music fans. Thanks for watching the show. It means the world to me that you do, and it keeps my bills paid, which is pretty cool too. If you haven't already, be sure to follow us on social media where you can like, share, subscribe, and leave us a comment. Who do you want to see on the show? We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the whole shebang. Just search for More Than the Music and you'll be sure to find us. And as an added bonus, we're always doing contests to give away free shirts like these. Free shirts! And if you want to follow my personal socials, it's Stacy O. Stacy, where you can keep up with all the latest posts about my kitty cat, FBI Special Agent Dale Cooper. He's a cutie, so be warned. To see any of our older episodes, be sure to download the free Heartland Roku app, where you can watch everything we've done so far. Thanks again for watching. I can't wait to hear from you. I have had such an awesome time in Los Angeles, you guys. I am honored to have spent the time at Capitol Studios, hanging out with all those awesome folks. I'm glad you guys got to tune in and watch. We're headed back to Tennessee. We're going to be talking to Roger Allen Wade next week, so make sure to tune in.